Cybersecurity management is all about three factors: landscape and performance. Incidence is essentially what happens to us. Landscape is essentially what happens to others, and performance is what are we doing about it. We have three greatly admired personalities by me to join the discussion today. Mr. Pathik Muni, a man of many hats, he would currently describe himself as managing partner of Foundry Consultancy and the author of The Good, the Bad, the Cyber Buddha. Along with him, we have his partner in crime, Kawaljit Kaur Muni, who is currently Senior VP at Kotak Life. Joining us is Mr. Vikas Jha, CEO and co-founder of Symmetry Identity Solutions. Welcome. Uh, First of all, the dynamic duo, I'd like to congratulate you on the book.
Thank you.
Thank
Terrific
you.
effort in making that, taking that plunge of taking serious cybersecurity issues and making it, putting it across in a really easy to understand manner. So, what was the drive behind that?
Um, I think this complete notion of cybersecurity is being put across to people as something that is damn difficult to interpret, damn difficult to understand. I think it's simple. Cybersecurity is not complex. It is just made to sound complex. If one has to really understand cybersecurity at its fundamental layer, cybersecurity is all about the way you behave on the internet, on the network that you function on. Too technical in nature, which is mainly objected towards an audience which is already educated in information technology or maybe coming in from the technical background, non serious fictitious kind of literature available, which is just a built up story. And hence we as a couple we decided that let's come up with something which is true, which a common man can relate to, but at the same time a very easy to understand without jargons. Okay, so that a common man when he reads it, it's kind of an edutainment for that person, where he is enjoying the story, because crime, till the time you are not a victim to the crime, you always and hence all the stories that are being mentioned there are almost around them, they're all real life incidences, and not happening to it is happening to common people like you and me, and hence people would be able to relate to those stories. uh, we've kind of made it in an edutainment form where stories are coming across, and then we are also giving certain mitigations or alternatives to change of habits that you have which make you vulnerable in cyberspace. That's the entire objective of the book, and that's how the book is being come on.
So, Pathik has encapsulated the whole thing very well. It fits what it is about and how it is delivered. Now, how did we come about and how did this thought actually come in the first place? Was, we experience during the pandemic, especially, we experienced that a lot of people have onboarded the digital space. So many of us were already there, but those classes or those age groups which did not also, like even the older, members of the family, like your father, mother, your in-laws, everybody, they started getting online, started to learn and learned very fast. Now it is very simple. So the cyberspace is made in such a way, everything technology is made in such a way that uh, the consumers find it very easy and are able to more or less learn it on their own with a little help if you're not very used to it or not very familiar with it. Now we have done that, but we don't have the knowledge or the information around it completely. So we do things without knowing what is it that can go wrong. Now that is what we started to encounter more and more, especially during this time. Like he's a cyber lawyer, and he started meeting and getting a lot of such instances, a lot of such clients who were a victim. And when we started to actually sit and think through it, that why is it happening, what we realized is it's not because of or the firewalls or all technology. It's not because that's not in place. It's because, in spite of that being in place, we are doing things which is actually forfeiting those security layers. And these are the habits, paying attention to the transactions that we are doing, and simple things like this. Now, when this occurred to us, it was very important. We felt that we should be sharing this back with everybody, and we did start to talk about it amongst our friends and educating our parents and also our children. Now, it's difficult for children to understand what we are saying, but parents did understand. But that was one particular instance that we spoke about. But there are so many such things. Now, that had to come out in some manner for everybody. And that's where we thought that we should put something in literature. It should be in such a manner that is simple for people to understand. And we thought about, the book went through two, three versions. So we literally wrote it two to three times, because when we wrote it for the first time, it was very, very technical. And when we sat to read it back, it did sound a little dry. And then we brainstormed, and we've put it into a story format. So basically, the point that I'm trying to drive is that information is very important. Cyberspace is something that we cannot do without today. But knowing the pros and the cons is very important, so that we are able to do things with complete consciousness of what needs to be done, what shouldn't be done, and who is it who's calling us, who is genuine. That basic layer of identification, or that skill, or that knack of identification needs to be there with everybody. And that's where I think that's the whole space. With so many things happening around us in technology, we talk about big things like metaverse, with Internet of Things, and so many such things. These basic things, I think, is not addressed uh, properly yet. And that's the whole essence of this book, and that's the space that we are into.
Right. I mean, while considering that it's an effective technique when it comes to consumers and technology, you come from a corporate world.
Yes.
Do you think that approach works while explaining complex cyber situations to, say, a board of directors who doesn't speak tech? Would you feel that it'll be a little dumping down of the issue?
So, if you even look at big orators, or you go through any training module, or we've always been taught that human beings love to listen to stories. What could be better than telling a story, and what could be simpler, and what could hold your attention better than hearing a story? And that's what we thought of when we were writing. So we thought that these are all important, critical issues and points that needs to be spoken about, to be educated.
Kamal, that was an excellent way of putting across complex cyber situations in a consumer perspective. But what when it comes to a corporate setup, when you are explaining complex cyber situations to a board of directors, for instance, who doesn't speak tech? Do you think that it will be kind of a dumbing down of a complex issue when you approach a storytelling approach to explaining things?
So I have been into the corporate sector for a long time now, and one thing that I've learned over this period of so many years of experience is that everything has to be customer centric, user friendly, and so simple that anybody who picks it up should be able to understand. Now, when we talk about cyber, the topic sounds complex as on today. I'm sure there'll be a time when people will not find it so complex, but as on today, the moment you speak about it, too many, it is dry or complex and not for me. So, when you have to communicate something on a topic like this, the best thing which has always worked is storytelling. We look at all great orators. If you see what holds the audience's attention is the way it is narrated. And narration in a form of a story always grabs attention. So the key here is to make it simple but not to let go of the important points that needs to be discussed or that needs to be told. So I think that's the approach that needs to be taken, is what I feel today is the best approach. Maybe over a period of time we may evolve and there might be better ways of communicating, but I think today this works very well to whatever category of people, whatever class of people, however well versed they are or they are not. If you're able to narrate something simply but be able to communicate the important aspects, I think you're home.
Okay, I'd
And
like to know.
if I may add something here, uh, if you look at most executive training programs, when you talk about training CEOs or CXO level people, if you kind of participate in such programs, you would see that the trainers generally use the theory of stories, okay, because that registers well with anybody. Like we all, when we were little kids, uh, we've gone through the story of Ramayana and stories of Mahabharata and such stories, right? What stays back with us is you may not completely remember Ramayana as a story, but what has stayed back with you is the values that you learned from Ramayana, right? That stayed back with you because that is what has been inculcated into you through stories as a person, as a human being. And hence, storytelling is a very powerful mode of communication, or it may be at the executive board. All understand and like something which has a context, and stories always have a context, right? And once that is being delivered in a style which they understand, I think this complex topic for non-tech people uh, becomes simple to understand. And hence, I think it stays back with them for the decision making process, and it just makes that decision making process very simple because then they understand the nuances of why and what, and it becomes easy for the infosec and the IT teams to really convince, the
That's right.
executive board.
I'd like to know his view on that. Vikash, hearing good things about Symmetry, all the best for your upcoming round of fundraising.
Thank you.
You have been a cybersecurity executive project manager, and right now you're on the other side of the board. You are the co-founder and promoter of the company. So while you were working as an employee, was it really difficult for you to convince a manager of raising funds for projects that relate cybersecurity and identity management?
Yeah, it's a interesting question actually. Like so, when I was part of job, right? So
Hmm.
my job was to uh, bridge the gap between processes and technology, and that's really a big gap. Okay, I'm talking about 2009, 2011. So now, if you see that gap, and that gap getting jumbled up, and now that creating the issues for a lot of corporate or enterprise. So when these gaps create, right? So if we'll take an example like if some processes were not fulfilled,
Hmm.
okay, and that gap is not fulfilled, like one of the like this two, my friend was talking about, right? The stories, right?
Hmm.
So this brings towards that.
Hmm.
So if you don't fill the gaps of the processes, then these problems occurs.
Hmm.
When I was part of the job, when I was, when I was working as an enterprise architecture in my previous assignment. So understanding the business,
Hmm.
what business is looking for,
Hmm.
like ease of use, and if we talk to the business, they always talk about, in single click, I want to give the access to user.
Hmm.
Ease of use,
Hmm.
ease of implementation. These are the words which always business use, right?
Hmm.
So my job was to understand that,
Hmm.
convert that, and give this requirement to technology.
No.
But this is what we have to deliver to the business. Now this was very interesting stories, interesting journey.
Hmm.
In that journey, I used to fight with CISO.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
because my job was to get this done. Okay, because I have to give this requirement to business, so business can go and sell to the customer. Now CISO has the own constraint, right? So if we'll talk about CISO, I'm talking about the IT security team in the organization, right? They have the own challenges. They have the challenge that they have to protect the employee, protect the consumer, protect the information. Okay, their vision is very clear. The business vision is very clear. They want to give the age of use, age of implementation, business. CISO is very clear. In that processes, the actually the guy, the enterprise architecture who convert this, that guy suffers a lot. Okay. So in my previous assignment, this was my profile, right? So I learned that, and I understood that this is a problem which every organization faces. So when I started, this my symmetry journey, that learning I took. Okay, and I took and I try to fulfill the gap of I'd say there are many gaps, right? Businesses have the processes gaps, IT security gaps, and many gaps are there. I took the IT security gaps, and in this journey, in the new avatar of, you can say about my business avatar or, what I'm doing it's more like we are trying to fulfill that gap. Okay. And now in this journey, what I am feeling the picture has changed. The whole things is totally changed in if you'll see in last 3 to 4 years, a lot of things have changed in the industry. You can say due to the COVID, due to work from home, due to many things, a lot of things have changed. So now everyone is talking about data security with ease of use. Now if we'll talk to CEO of the company, MD of the company, they will also talk about the same language.
Yes.
Hey boss, my data has to be protected. My information has to be protected. If we'll go and we will talk about the CEO, CEO is also talk about the same thing. If we'll go and talk to CISO, of course CISO is like they have to protect the information. So and of course I think thanks to books like this, Good the Bad, Cyber Buddha, and the many people like Pratik and Kamaljeet who is writing this type of book, they have also explained them because on the basic level of the information, and that is really helping the company like us, you can say organization like us, or the consultant, any cybersecurity consultant selling or the implementation becoming easy day by day. So this is what I learned in this whole thing. And now in the new avatar, of course, the security is the most important for any of the organization.
You totally understand that. But,
it's a small, big enterprise. Everyone understand that. So that, and I think next 4 or 5 years, the things will get changed. People, you talk about the consumer, you talk about enterprise, you talk about corporates. Everyone will start thinking towards that.
Speaking of change, your firm is currently addressing one vertical which is changing drastically: identity management. For me, a layman like me, identity management begins and ends with username and password. But right now, there is this huge movement of calling for abolishing passwords entirely. Some confuse it with zero trust. What's your take on that? Do we need passwords anymore?
See, so I think what happens, there is something called I always when I talk to the CIO or CISO, I always say that buzzword. So always I'm not against, but I'm not in favor also the buzzwords like. So we have to understand that now if we'll see, okay, the zero trust, password, identity. If we'll, my perspective is a little different on it. Okay, I feel that everything starts with identity. Okay, and all is the surrounding systems. Okay, I will give you a very simple example. Right? You talk about your on the consumer side. I'm talking about your identity is what? Your personal information, your last name, first name, PIN number, all is your personal identity, right? You take that identity, you go everywhere, right? You go to the government office, you go to the Facebook, you go to the Gmail, you go to the any place you go with the identity, right? Even you open the door, right? When you go to your house, you press the bell. Your family open the door by knowing your identity. Okay, same thing in the organization, right? You go and you access the banking is the identity. So identity scope is very big. Okay, and without identities, if you have not a proper identity system in the organization, okay, it's very difficult to protect. Okay, whatever you do, you implement, you invest millions of rupees to invest on the product, but you don't have the proper identity solutions. It's very difficult. So that's one of the very important parts.
And identity solutions, of course, include hardware like fobs, OTP creators, and even your phones, where you have to scan a QR code or present your face. But device hygiene is a very serious issue currently because we, and including me myself, we use our office devices for our personal applications as well. And you being parents, you would definitely know how children use your personal devices for their access. So is device hygiene a solution for limiting the landscape of cybersecurity threats?
I think yes. I think devices these days. There was a point in time when we were very limited to our devices. So each house would have one computer,
Hmm.
right? Today, if you look at devices, everybody has a smartphone, which is in most cases more powerful than the laptop that you use. Everybody has their own computer, uh, a laptop or a desktop. So I think now is the time that we understand that devices in itself, okay, have to be personalized. It has to be your own. You shouldn't allow others to use your devices unless that it's really required. And if you are even allowing someone to really use your device, like today, if I have to decide, or the day my son, who's 10-year old, has to use my phone, I changed my profile and I've created a profile for him on my phone. So I don't allow him access to my profile, right? And not that I want to hide something from him. It is more like my profile is mine, and that's something that is um, private to me, okay, and I want to keep it private to me, okay. What also happens is on your device, it becomes a compartment. Each profile has its own compartment, so my son does not have access to applications that I use. He may download games on his set of profile, okay, which is for me is very easy to go back and check, okay, which are the ones that he's downloaded. Maybe some unwanted ones I can just delete. A lot of things that becomes way easy to manage if I have to really allow people to access my device. And the only people that I allow access, even when I have another profile for them or a guest profile, are the people that I absolutely trust. Um, I do not let anybody else touch my laptop or my mobile. It's just a no for me. Uh, Absolutely, because that's my private thing, and I would like to keep it private. As simple as that.
Kamalji, device hygiene is even more important when it comes to banking and insurance services. Like, it's been ages since I went to a bank to fill a challan and get my money. I've been using ATMs, I've been using my app. So device hygiene, how do you inform your customers about device hygiene without being too preachy or teachy or dry about it?
Today when I take a chai, which is $10, I pay through UPI.
Hmm.
So you're right. We have stopped going to the bank, and banking transactions are no more physical transactions. While it is pertaining to your finances, your money,
Hmm.
we are absolutely comfortable, and that's been for a while now,
Hmm.
doing it online,
Hmm.
and we have complete trust that the money will go
Hmm.
to the right person in the right account.
Hmm.
Now, that's the confidence that we have is because these organizations, the banks and other financial sectors, are very strictly regulated,
Hmm.
and the organization themselves also take a lot of care to ensure that no data leakage happens or no untoward incidents happen. And there's a lot that goes into that. Again, in spite of all that, we do see a lot of incidences happening with people where they've lost a lot of money. Now, do you think this is because of the security layer missing or the technology being substandard? I don't think so. I think this is go into the depth of it, or if you just read about what goes wrong, you see that the user is the one who has faltered here.
Hmm.
So, if I have to really clarify
Hmm.
or just go a little bit into deeper into this, when we went physically into the banks, I remember doing that when I was very young, going with my father, or some transaction in the initial days, doing myself. We took the challan, the slip. We wrote, we double checked. We wrote in words, we wrote in numbers, checked, wrote behind, and then finally submitted, right? But today, if I have to do a online transaction, I just do it. Now, I think our brains have also tuned to working fast because with the moment you say it is cyber or websites or something online, things happen really fast. It happens in a jiffy. And our brains are tuned to that. So today, if I'm downloading something and if it's taking time, I just stop it. I come out of the window. If a video is buffering, I stop looking. I don't have the patience to actually wait. And I think that's what technology offers. But with your financial transactions, I think we have to change this habit. Here, we need to take a pause, think, ascertain, and then complete the transaction. So, if somebody is, say, for example, messaging you, say a friend, that please transfer so much money to my account, what we do is we just pick it up, read it, and हाँ, ले मेरा दोस्त है, just do the transaction, right? But just make sure I got this from you, it's you really, right? I mean, just ascertaining that this is the person who's asking for it, or not just scanning the moment somebody said scan to get money. So, these actions when we do financial transactions online, I think needs to be thought through and done with a little thinking and patience by taking a pause in the transactions. I think these things will, to a very large extent, make sure that we are not falling a prey to these very these days, because let's not forget that people who are involved into cybercrime are intelligent people. They are not in your physically in your vicinity, right? They could be anywhere in the world. Intelligent, educated, knowledgeable, they know technology very well. So even if something is being talked about, they are already on it trying to figure out how to con people. So they are ahead of us. And, we may get used to one kind of frauds that's happening, but there's another one that you will not even think about, and you will go wrong there. So being alert and being cautious is the key to ensuring that you are financially safe too in the cyber world.
Rather, just to add to her point, I think doing a digital transaction, you want to build a good habit about it. The problem is, like she said, we want it very fast. I don't know why, but I really fail to understand because on an everyday basis, as a cyber lawyer, I keep getting this मेरा इतना पैसा चला गया, उतना पैसा चला गया. You know, people lose money. The reason why they lose money is because when you actually look at it, कि what did he do wrong? And it is just that he did not pay attention, right? He wanted to do everything very fast. Like to give you an example, even today, like today morning, I got a message from my friend about transferring a very small amount of 300 bucks. Now this 300 bucks was towards a contribution of our friend's birthday party, right? uh, Still, when I got a message from a friend, I still ensured that I sent her hi on GPay. I again went back to my WhatsApp and I told her that listen, reply on GPay. Okay, she replied on GPay. Okay, and only then I transferred. Now see, I knew that she's asking for 300 bucks and it's genuine and I had to contribute. Okay, but I still did it that way because I am forming a habit. Now I do it with every person, irrespective of I know about that transaction or not. I do verify as a second layer of verification, right? If you build that habit, I think you would never go wrong. It's a very fundamental habit, and this is something that I've learned from her. While you look at her as a senior vice president, heading digitization, all that, she has been digital in her nature for a very long time. So she has been an e-commerce shopper before Flipkart took birth. Okay. She went into the mode of buying digital gold even before Modi ji could really say, oh, announce incentives over it that on digital gold we will give you so much. Like she said, when we were all figuring out what is this new UPI thing, okay, she had already started using UPI. Even today, when she has to take a cab or a rickshaw, okay, she would look at a UPI accepting rickshaw. Okay, so she is a very digital person, but at the same time, she always builds those habits around it, which help her stay safe at the same time while she is being digital. So there is no harm in becoming digital. But along with doing something new, you have to learn that how would you protect yourself while you do that new thing. And I think everything else in cyberspace can be fast,
True.
but not financial transactions. I think you should still spend some time and look at what you're doing, where what are you transacting, who are you paying to, and check it once more before you actually hit that button. It's very it should be an habit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those 300 rupees becomes 30,000 rupees in the next transaction.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
That's right. But I'm agreeing to the fact that banks on their parts have been adding security measures like fingerprint access and OTP to
Yes.
your transaction. But unfortunately, we consider each layer of verification as an inconvenience.
Yes.
Vikash would definitely know like how employees kind of circumvent identity management things, even passwords. Most of them would save their passwords on their devices and they will not shut it down because they'll have to log in again.
Mm.
So, coming back to the earlier point of zero trust, there is this drive of avoiding passwords and setting up a situation where uh, access, identity happens automatically. You know, removing the layer, bringing in convenience, ease. Is it really possible?
See, if you, first of all, I believe that password and username is same.
Hmm.
Okay, because I believe that anything which you remember, okay, you can share.
Really, password and username.
Yes. So username, password, remember, you can share.
Hmm.
Okay. So I believe that something which you don't know, you can't share.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It means simple. If I know my username and password, and like you talk about the Pratik and Kamaljit, right?
Mhm.
So I'm sure Kamaljit must be knowing the password of Pratik, and Pratik knowing the password of Kamaljit, right? Because he knows his password, she know her password, right?
Yeah, because
But
there's
just
the trust factor involved.
Plus, I'm able to tell is what he's, I think, trying to say. I'm able to tell.
not really.
I think what he's.
So
I do have a counter here. But yeah.
okay. So I believe that something which can cannot be shared should be your password.
Hmm.
Okay, and that's how the passwordless is born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what the passwordless is born.
Hmm.
So I'm very big fan of the passwordless.
Hmm.
Okay, because that is something which you don't remember.
Hmm.
Okay, and it's generated automatically.
Hmm.
So every time when I'm trying to access something,
Hmm.
I have to put the new information.
Mm.
So it's required the effort, right? And something which you don't know, you and that dynamically is getting generated means you have to find out from somewhere, you have to put it and you have to access it. And that's how the passwordless got born. Now zero trust, right? So as I told you also, it's a buzzword. So why I always believe that zero trust, it was already there, today is also there, and in the future it will be modified version of the zero trust. So basically, if we'll see the whole scenario, right? The attack surface are increasing, right? As she also mentioned, right? We uh, previously we used to go to the bank, right? We used to fill the form. You also mentioned, right? We used to fill the form. We used to withdraw the money. Now we went online. Means the attack surface has increased. So what is the attack surface? Because the medium where attackers can attack on you. Okay, so now you are doing the digital transactions. You are going online. You are putting your credit card information. You are going on e-commerce site. You are doing GPay. You are doing UPI. So all you are doing, all the digitally, right? Is all connected to the internet, which is exposed to the internet. So attack surfaces are increasing. So what zero trust talk about that any resources which you want, I will not trust you. So it's very simple example, right? You will come to me, you will ask me the username and password. I will not give you because I don't trust you. Okay. Now these two people trust each other, so they share the username and password. So they are already a zero trust game, right? So I believe that this will get modified, and it's a layer which will be get implemented in the organization or onto the individual level. The complexity is so huge in the enterprise, okay, that zero trust will take some time to come as an actual implementation in the organization. It's very complex. So that's the reason I always believe that it's a but it's going to be 2-3 years. I'm not saying it never will, because we never thought that will be on the mobile, and it will have every information is going to be on mobile. We never thought that, but today we are on this world. So zero trust, I believe it will take some time, but it will be a real implementation on the ground. Today I believe it's fundamentally buzzword which lot of companies, enterprise are using to monetize these things. We are also doing, by the way. Okay, so it's a world which will take some time to stabilize, and that's what the whole thing will move on. Like, and one of the things which we're asking, right, for device, FOBs and all, right? So that is all will come under part of zero trust. So when you are going anywhere, the first you have to, verify yourself. You have to revalidate yourself. Like, if I'll give you the simple example, right? Uh, how the zero trust will work, right? So if you are going to a house and you are pressing the bell, your wife will ask you, you are the Mr. Chandu or you are not Mr. Chandu. Please validate yourself. So if you validate, you are allowed to enter in house. If you are not validate, you will be kept outside the house. So that's what zero trust is.
And I also think that it will just evolve, right? Very recently, our aviation minister launched this thing at the airports now that you would be able to walk through security, immigration, because basis your facial recognition, it would auto search the database, and it would allow you to go or hold you back, right? I think it's an evolution, and we will evolve, like Vikas said, that it's about time. It will take some time for people to accept it. However, we would reach there. That's for sure. And till the time we actually reach there, one has to understand that some people, life is about trust. You can't be not trusting people at all, right? So you will have to share with certain people, but you need to know who you trust, right? Like in my case, yes, I trust my wife. Okay, but unfortunately, we don't share passwords. What we do is, yes, my fingerprint works on her phone. Her fingerprint works on my phone. So in case, in an event that something happens to me, and things can go wrong, right? And the phone is really capable, or I use my phone for a lot of things that would require her access to my phone when I'm not there. Okay, she would be able to access my phone for sure with her fingerprint. Okay, for sure. Passwords, I think till the time we get there where we actually have that feature of auto validating everything, I think everybody knows what is a complex password. Okay, and it is good to have a complex password, but unfortunately most people that you see around on your organization, they would not have complex passwords because it's difficult to remember, it's complex, right? There are mechanisms to really make it simple. Okay, while it is still complex. Okay, it follows the rules of a complex password, but it is very simple for you. Okay, like in our book chapter number 3, we've mentioned a complete process. Okay, how to remember a complex password which your wife would never know.
Yeah, that's really great. And I would like to point to Pratik, right? So that's, I always say, the context based, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like he will share the password. He is having the fingerprint on our device, right? So I always say the context based, and that's what the future is going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a context, it's very simple. If I am going online, I am doing a transaction. Okay, my contexts are very clear.
Yeah.
So bank will understand my contexts are clear. I am coming from a trusted sources, and my all identity are validated. You are allowed to do that.
Correct.
So the future will evolve, right? This will
Yes.
take some time, and as I told you, right? So when I used to work in a corporate in 2011, 9, the picture was different. Now when I go and talk to customer, or talk to consultant, the picture is totally changed.
Yeah.
It's evolving. The new generation, if you'll see a lot of new generation CISOs are coming.
Yeah.
They are far more advanced. They are not like tick boxes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are very advanced. They know how to attack. They know how to prevent.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the world will change. It's changing already.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Rather, changing world. Okay, I have this small theory that the very near future for us, probably my son is 10, and probably by the time he gets into his career mode, we would have those chips in our brain, the neuro chips, okay, which would actually do most of the job that we are doing today of communicating with devices. Okay, authentication would be at a different level
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are going to evolve very fast. If you honestly look at it, 2007 iPhone launch, Steve Jobs' presentation, Steve Jobs spoke about so many things that people said, "Oh no, come on,
Yeah.
he's talking too much. I mean, we're not gonna get there." But today, we are doing everything that Steve Jobs spoke about on that presentation does, right? And it's just, if you really think about it, it's just 15 years back.
I know.
No, no, in
that
fact,
in
you're
Right?
wrong. I'm already considering being a cyborg because
See?
I have come across a device, because I think I need to lose some weight, okay? And I like to eat. So I have already come across a device and I'm almost there to buy it, where it remains on your arm and you can keep wearing it all the time. Like even if you're swimming, you can have it on. And every time you eat something, it tells how the sugar is spiking and what food suits you, what doesn't. Now, to a normal person who's wanting to take care of, fitness can do that. I think it's a very good device for somebody who's diabetic, for example. So this is already there and people are already using it. And this is the first step of being a cyborg.
I
So
completely.
by the time our son gets into the career mode, he's going to be a complete cyborg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also runs the risk of being hacked. If it's smart,
Ah.
if it's smart, it's vulnerable. If it's vulnerable, it's hackable.
So you
So
need
it's
to be
yeah.
smart too. You need to be ahead. You need to be smart, and that's why you need to have your common sense in place in the cyber world to know what is it that you do could go wrong. I
Correct.
think that's
Again,
the key.
the habits that you build to
Yeah.
keep yourself safe. Very
Exactly.
important.
On that note, let us take a coffee break. Welcome back from the coffee break. This was a nice wrapping up of incident and landscape. Now it comes to performance. Your book has a very concise way of putting across possible threats and how to manage it. But when it comes to an overall security posture, like you said, it's all about the mindset. If you are alert by nature, you'll obviously posture. So to sum it up, how do you like pick and choose, like put it in a capsule or give it in a brief format? How do you enhance your personal security?
How do you enhance your personal security? I think if you look at stats, over 95% of cyber breaches are a result of human factor, right? And if you look at the biggest hacks, the Sony hack or the Stuxnet, or any of such, they are all a resultant of a human factor, right? Uh, how does this human factor work in cyberspace? I think machines don't make a lot of mistakes. Machines are still at a stage follow uh, the commands that we give or they are programmed for. What what goes wrong is the humans, which are non-programmable, right? They function on its own, and every human being has particular set of habits. Now, what happens is these habits are then exploited in multiple ways to actually give a result of a breach, right? So, I think personal security for me is more about cyber hygiene, the habits that you inculcate. Okay, like this book has at the end of the book, we have a small game that we've designed, which wherein we have 40 habits that and 40 habits that you should build. Now, if you're able to do this 80-40-40, I am pretty confident by my experience as a cyber expert and a cyber lawyer that you should be safe in cyberspace by 98%. Okay. Of course, 2% you will have to leave to a lot of external factors that would come your way. But by 98%, I think you yourself are more responsible. Like everybody would have gone through this. Our mothers used to tell us when we were young, growing kids that रात को बाहर मत निकलो. Okay, हम तब समझ नहीं पाते थे रात को क्यों नहीं बाहर निकले, मतलब ऐसा क्या हो जाता है रात को. Okay, but if you look at now from a perspective that क्यों नहीं, if you ask yourself that question कि रात को क्यों नहीं बाहर निकले, आज आपको रियलाइज होगा कि रात को है ना बहुत सारे एंटी सोशल एलिमेंट्स आर इन प्ले, राइट? सो if you venture out in the night, more the chances that you would get into a situation, right? And we subconsciously in our physical world really follow that. Like you look at us crossing the road, okay, we look at the left, right, cross the road. When we are walking through in the night at 2 a.m. or something, even in your own city, you would want to take the main streets rather than the dark lanes, right? These are your subconscious habits that you build in physical life. You need to build these habits in digital life as well. And when you build these habits, they will happen subconsciously, and your personal security will come into play by default, right? But the problem is, you want to rate convenience, okay, over your security, and when you have this convenience factor which goes up, your security factor comes down, right? So it's very important. Take your convenience at play, but do not ignore the security aspects of your actions.
So just to add a little more to it, while we have been saying that individuals play a very important role in their own security, there are certain things that we should take care also on our own. Like for example, we should start treating our phones as a computer. It is doing everything that your computer does, and today I think we do everything on the phone more than on the computer, right? And hence, even if it's a very good device like a Apple, which is supposed to be very secure, make sure that you're downloading some antivirus onto that also. It's important because that's where you're doing all your financial transactions. That's where you're accessing all the social media handles, and it has the capability of leaking your personal information, photographs, passwords that you may have stored into some locker, digital locker, etc. So I think these things also are to be given utmost importance, and that should not be ignored.
Like in a corporate perspective, how you deal with the executive side. When you beef up security, it requires hell of a lot of sanctions. Plus, funds are in question.
Yes.
How does the CISO board equation on that part play up? Like when you obviously initiate a demand for funds, boards will definitely put up at least a little sort of defense or even a question on karoge kya isse?
Yeah, I think that landscape is now rapidly changing because the importance of data and private data, personal data, not just of the organization and the employees, but also of the customers whose information you house. Like today, a financial sector houses a lot of customer information, and you actually are the custodian of the consumers' money, and that has to be safeguarded. Now, I think that landscape is changing, and uh, as far as I know, all the the larger companies, medium to large companies, are giving a lot of focus, and I think that barrier is now overcome. We also have a data protection bill, which has just been, it's been spoken about, and it's just a year and a half ago that it will get implemented. Now, with all this, the importance to having the funding, the required funding for such security is, I think that's not going to be a challenge, or almost not a challenge in today's time, unless it's a very small organization which is still not recognizing the importance of it. I don't think that's a problem, and hence even when we are downloading things, so that brings me to the point that when we are also downloading things from the apps, always make sure that the app is not very new. It is been there for a while. Now that gives the credibility to the app also, and ensures that your data is protected and it's not leaked. Secondly, when you're giving permissions on the phones, make sure that you're reading what permissions you're giving, because it's you who's giving permission to let your data out. So I think yes, there are these aspects, but from an organizational point of view, and the digital landscape on the whole across the world is now shaping up into more. It's taking a concrete shape, right? And hence the importance is given, and people are forced to recognize even if they're not able to understand.
Brother, if I may add something here, I think the way boards or the CXOs should look at security now
Mm.
is the same way that the world looks at defense, right? If you look at any country, right? If you see an economically stable country or an economically growing country, it has been investing for decades. It has been investing a lot in the defense, right? If you look at our own budgets in terms of as a country, we invest a big chunk of our annual budget into defense. Now, you would say India has not fought a war for last 20 years, right? Why do you need to spend so much in defense? But the reason being, if your defense forces are strong, if you have made that defense force strong, I think you make an ecosystem in your country so well that it is law and order is in place. It just allows business to flourish. And that's how your revenues would grow, like an economy would grow. So it's very essential that your defenses are being invested into, because if you are a weak uh, entity, so to say, and you're not investing enough in your security, then your growth is going to be limited, because you're going to be vulnerable to a lot of things. And one incident, customers, your stakeholders are going to lose confidence on you. Okay. And hence, it is extremely important for the CXOs of today's time to realize that data is important. It's the future. It's the currency. So let's understand this, that let's put in some money. Let's allocate a good sizable budget towards security, and let's listen up to, cybersecurity companies like Symmetry. I think they have lots to say. And, a CXO should listen to that in interest of their own organization's growth, rather than looking at it as a cost center. It is actually something that you should invest in as long-term asset. If you are strong, you would be capable to take up any fight. If you are weak, I think you will go down immediately.
True that. I mean, irrespective of your firm's size and budget, one slip up is all that takes to ruin your reputation and goodwill. And rebuilding it will take years, if not decades. And identity management goes a very long way in securing the data of customers as well as the company. So, Vikash, what are the three or the minimum points of, how should I say, crucial points of identity management that a company must follow? What should they have in focus when they have an identity management in plan, so that they can say that we have kept a due diligence practice, we have done our role in protecting the identity, and through that protecting the data of the customers of the company.
So a couple of the things, at the basic hygiene which any organization or enterprise should implement for identity. I'm not talking about the product, I'm talking about the solution in any identity, right? So one is the profiling of the identity is very important, right? Because every profile had a different set of risks. Okay. The second thing is that I'm very fond of the decentralized identity.
Decentralized.
Yeah. Because what happens, centralized is good. Okay. If you know the defense we are talking about, right? If you'll see that in the defense we have a different decentralized category, right? So you have the front, you have back, you have a special forces. So I'm very fond of the decentralized identity. So if when the attack surface increase, the attack area increase, the number of attacks also will increase with that.
Okay.
And when you are in the world of, it's simple, when you are fighting a war, okay, you don't know from where the weapons will come.
True.
Okay. So today all the cyber space went into the war only, right? And the problem is in this war is you don't know who is your enemy. Okay, so attacks are coming from anywhere. Okay, because surface has increased. You are global, you are available everywhere, you are on an app, everywhere, right? So it's very, very important that you decentralize the identities. And once you decentralize the identity, you have the profiling based on the identities. What happens, even the attack happens and something happens. See, we can't deny. So one of the, I personally feel, and which every enterprise and corporate should really look that thing as very seriously, is a real-time identity analytics. So When I'm talking about the real-time analytics, I'm not talking about to track where your employee is going and all that, right? It's about that what your employee, your consumer is accessing what application, from which location, and what they are doing. So if my context, or my context is, or my whole behavior or history says that I transfer 50,000 bucks, last 5 years every month, and suddenly my flow of transaction got increased, there is some suspicious, right? So these are the things only you can do when you are doing the real-time identity analytics. So it's very important that now, because number of consumers got increased, number of employees increasing, so everyone is focused to growth, right? And number of employees you are hiring, number of customer you are onboarding more. So it's very difficult to do the manual re-verification or manual checks, right? Today, what is happening? A lot of things are happening post. Now it's time you have to do pre, not post.
Exactly.
Okay, post is something which already do the now postmortem we say, right? So already the body is there. Now you do the postmortem.
Yeah.
So my suggestion, for all the enterprise corporates would be that you focus on pre. Pre and identities. It's not about product, my product, any product. That's the separate thing. But it's more than that. You bring something solid, build, or build and buy the separate thing, which every organization understands this very well. But identities with the real-time analytics and behavior pattern and the risk profiling. If you do 3-4 things and decentralized identities, I think we are sort of okay to go to one of the questions which you asked to zero trust. Okay, so first do this, then you move on. There is a plenty of things which you can do in the cyber. It's like a sea, and of course you need the budget for that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, nothing comes free, right?
I think when it comes to that, I think you've made a very good point there, Vikas, because even I concur with those thoughts, because I feel learn it from the masters when it comes to security, and the masters are your defense forces. They've learned this art because their job is to defend you, right? If you look at them, the look at where they invest. Exactly the point that Vikas made. Pre, that's the intelligence unit. They invest a lot in the intelligence unit, right? It's not only about के terrorist आया and terrorist ने एक attack किया तो उसको कैसे counter करें, right? या फिर एक war हो गई तो हम उसको कैसे counter करें? They work on intelligence mechanisms where they actually figure out which are the terrorists which are infiltrating our borders, how are they infiltrating us, where are they staying, what is the source of weapons, where are they sourcing other things from. These are those pre things that he's talking about. And I think that's what now companies have to learn. That, it's not only about, incidents management. There is an incident, let's manage it. Right? And unfortunately, it's a stigma, right? We got compromised. Everybody gets compromised. There's nothing, there's no stigma about it. But the problem is, every company doesn't want to come out and say, hey, listen, you know what, I got compromised because, that's going to impact my reputation. How can I get compromised, right? But you would get compromised in today's world, and that's the truth. Okay, the sooner you accept it and you build intelligence, which Vikas was talking about, okay, I think that's the only way that you will be able to avoid it. Okay, and threat intelligence is becoming more big and big in cyberspace. I think the company is doing fabulous job of detecting cases, intelligence that they gain out of your own network. Okay, and that's the way to go. There is no other way. I think if you talk about Mossad, CIA, everybody, the reason why they want that name for themselves is because they have built that kind of intelligence, network, and you have to build that intelligence on your network.
Completely agree.
Yeah,
Completely
that's what I had to Kamaljit. Pratik, Okay, and it's important, right? He gave the correct example and right example, right? It's like cyber is the own world, right? And all your devices, all your people are the forces for you. You have to protect them.
Correct.
Okay, and you have to take all the precaution what you're doing for your country.
Yes.
Otherwise, it will be a situation, where you will have a difficulties to protect your people also, your machines also, your devices also. Today, what is happening? We are in the world where compliances is the security. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Today also I meet many of the CISO and CIO. I always feel that if there is a compliance body who is sitting on top and they are telling them you have to implement, is the checklist that they have to implement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just ticking the boxes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much.
And that will create a problem for most of the organization in the future.
Mm.
Most of the organization. And again, I'm coming to the same point, right? So if you have the like a intelligent environment, intelligent systems, that will be the savior future. And this is no more the buzzword now. Intelligence doesn't mean that you require AI ML. See, every intelligence is not the AI or ML.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, basic rule is also the intelligence.
Yes.
Mm.
Right. So people has the wrong misinterpretation that someone is talking about intelligence means they have AI ML. AI ML is there. You forget about for some time, but even the basic rule can be the intelligence for you.
Those who even speak of AI and doesn't differentiate between artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Yeah. So I think let's not get into that discussion.
I think it's the lack of knowledge that we try to correlate intelligence to AI and ML only.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the more you understand, you have a deeper understanding, you really know that it's not just there, but there are a lot of other avenues that also contributes towards intelligence. So
Correct. And I think intelligence has to be built at multi layers, like our defense forces build. Police has intelligence, their own intelligence. Defense, different parts have their own intelligence. So I was having this very interesting conversation with one of the very senior Navy guy. Was in charge of one of the coast of India, and he told me that there are literally 7 layers of forces deployed on our borders, on our water borders, or our oceanic waters. Okay, each of that unit has their own ingredients, right? Because they are safeguarding different parts. Okay, so that needs to be established even in a corporate. One needs to understand that listen, cybersecurity is not a cost center. Cybersecurity is an investment center. You are building an asset where, it took us time to realize that, when I build a system, that's an intellectual property, and intellectual property is of value. Okay, now when you have a valuable thing, you have to put money into securing that valuable thing, right? आप जब gold खरीदते हो, तो आप safe भी तो खरीदते हो उसको रखने के लिए, right? Okay, unfortunate that we don't realize this कि हमने इतनी अच्छी system बना ली, हमने उसको security में कोई खर्चा ही नहीं किया. That's very, very sad. And that's the reason why our cybersecurity companies, and I'm sorry to say this, but our cybersecurity companies are not getting enough business in this country. They're kind of securing America and Canada and all this. Right?
And one more thing I want to add with Pratik, right? And adding, dumping of intelligence is not the intelligence.
Yeah.
So you are getting a lot of intelligence from everywhere, and you are dumping into some system, and then you are saying, oh, I did not got anything from this.
Correct.
Unless you act on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Great.
Safe to sum it up by saying that incident landscape and performance of cybersecurity is entirely dependent on the human factor. We saw these 3 great human beings discussing their experience and interest in cybersecurity. I'm fortunate to moderate this discussion.